ride, not a driver. It's a good point. Johnny Mack set to join us now here on the JAKIB Postgame Show. Let's go to our man from the stadium, live from Lincoln Financial Field, John McMullen, joining us now on the JAKIB Postgame Show. Johnny Mack, how you doing, brother? Great to have you on. Your first takeaways from the Eagles' 20-16 win over the Cleveland Browns today.
Yeah, what a weird game. No style points whatsoever. But exactly, they persevered. They got the win. That's all that matters. But yeah, not besides A.J. Brown making plays and Devontae Smith getting back, getting the big touchdown. So you see the star players, the kind of difference they can make, but no real consistency from the offense. The slow starts continue, no first quarter points. They didn't turn it over. That was a positive. But you saw how limited, and the defense played well. I don't want to dismiss that, but you saw how limited Cleveland was offensively. I don't know if people know, but they didn't have their starting center, and their second team center went down early in the game. Then they got to move Michael Dunn to play from right guard to play center, bring in another right guard. Their running backs, Nick Chubb's going to be back next week. Then they lose Jerome Ford, so they're down to their third running back, and it's Dante Foreman, Pierre Strong. Strong made some good runs. They're really banged up, and Deshaun Watson's playing so poorly. You kind of saw that pretty consistently. A couple throws. He had a nice slant to David Njoku at one point, but nice throw to Jerry Jeudy at one point. But that's no consistency whatsoever. So it's kind of hard to say other than persevered, got out with a win, and try to fix it again next week. But no style points. So anybody was looking for emphatic wins, they didn't get that. But you don't get extra wins for those types of victories. So, yeah, not satisfying, but heck of a lot better for a loss because I can't imagine this place if they would have lost this game because it was ugly and they won the game. And Nick Sirianni's taunting the crowd because they won a game at Lincoln Financial Field.
And John, and you're hearing the press conference, and John, you were there. Tell me, please, because people were saying that they were listening to it. He was talking about being involved in some of the play calling. And I'm paraphrasing this here. You can fill it in for me on the offense and defensive side. And then he's taunting the fans after. I mean, if there was somebody who didn't have a good day, it was him with some of the things that he was addressing there by saying he got involved and there were mistakes that were made. And at the end of the football game, was it Jalen that audible into that big throw to A.J. Brown that ended it?
Yes.
So basically what I told everyone is that basically Jalen Hurts took the game out of the hands of the coaches and put it in his hand. And John, I'd rather have that. I'd rather have that, my quarterback making those decisions, whether I'm going to win or lose instead of having some committee do it. So I love that. Like you said, no turnovers, you win. And I got a quarterback that's now making decisions that are going to be win or lose. Great. I'm great with that because in 3 weeks, no one's going to remember that effort there. But still, man, Nick cannot get out of the way, John.
Well, I agree with that. But I don't know if people have picked up on this. I wish they would because it makes my life more difficult. He takes responsibility for bad things. So when he says he took over the play calling on 3rd and 1, bad play. When he says he took over the play calling on defense, which he didn't take over the play calling on defense. It's a bad thing happened. He's, and some people might say that's endearing or whatever you want to describe it, trying to take the blame off the other people, both the players and coaches. But for those who think he's only calling the bad plays, he's doing it on purpose. Come on, guys, wake up. The ones who are jumping up, wake up. Before it was Kellen Moore. This time it's Kellen Moore. He's trying to take on the brunt of the criticism so Kellen Moore doesn't have to. Same thing with Vic Fangio. So that part of it people got to wake up to that.
Yeah, but John, just leave that alone. Let it be well enough.
Well, I agree. He opens up this stupid Pandora's box that I got to deal with every stinking day. I said the moment he brought it up, asked Xander, the moment he brought it up, I said, dude, don't do that. These people are going to seize that. And they're going to continue to seize that. But that's what he believes. And, when Jalen Hurts, we always go back to the Seattle game. Jalen Hurts did the same exact thing. It didn't work. Threw it in the cover 2 interception. He's done it where it has worked. He did it again today. Bottom line is, he played a very sharp game. He started 0 for 5. It looked ugly early. And then he finished 16 for 20. Best passer rating of the season. Made some big plays. But
14, hey, John, 14 carries though. I mean, here we go again. I mean, you're high up there in them carries and not sustainable, over 17 ball games. Not saying that they will, but again, his effectiveness by carrying the football, I thought opened up the passing game for him, because when he plays like he did today with no turnovers, John, he's tough to beat. He's tough to beat when he plays like that with no turnovers, especially when he's running the ball. He didn't have a ton of yards, but you know what they did do, John? They kept the sticks moving, and they were critical yards that kept drives going. Sometimes those are worth more than having just a bulk of yardage.
Well, remember, 4 of those were tush pushes. So right off the bat, it takes up, and obviously they were successful. So that does 2 things. You don't want to say it's not as dangerous but it isn't. Let's be honest. It isn't as dangerous as going out and carrying the football and potentially leaving yourself open for hits. So that's part of it. And that also explains you're only getting a yard, and plus then he kneeled down in victory formation. So that really impacts.
It's like 8 carries. It's like 8 carries. Yeah.
So that really impacts the numbers as well. Saquon. So, people, how many times have we had that discussion? Run pass ratio. Well, yeah, there you have it. They got 4 tush pushes. They're in victory formation. They got 36 rushes versus 25 passes. But they won the game with the tempo and the passing, and obviously AJ gets the touchdown, the 40-yard reception, Devontae 45-yard touchdown. Your playmakers are back. And really, other than those 2 guys, the rest of the offense, Grant Calcaterra was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But man, something's just missing. It looks clunky.
It looks like rhythm, John. John, it just looks like rhythm. It just looks like, there's no rhythm in the sequencing of the plays, that it just looks cookie cutter at times. Because here's what I said to everyone. I go, from around the second quarter, middle of, to around, the beginning of the third, and then a little bit more into the third, they got away from Barkley and carrying the ball and trying to get rhythm going with it. And they started throwing the ball, and all of a sudden, there you start the half out with 3 and out. And you're going like, why not get a rhythm going, man? They got one of the best backs who's having a spectacular year right now. Running the ball creates rhythm, John. As it creates a rhythm to open space, because the game today is played in so much more space. Create some space by running the ball, and it just seems like it's chaotic at times, and it doesn't look like fluid play calling. I don't know. I mean, maybe you see it different.
No, I agree with that. I think, the offense hasn't been what people had hoped, expected. Now, part of that is, as AJ gets settled in, Devontae gets settled in, hopefully. Now, who knows about Dallas Goedert now? Now you got to worry about that. Hopefully it starts getting incrementally better. But you haven't had AJ for 3 games now. And, I don't know what he had in Brazil. It was like 116. Today it was, what was it? Today it was 116. I think it was 115 in Brazil. Like, that guy's a difference maker. I mean, that guy, he's on the field. They win.
He's the best player on the field on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. I don't know about today because Miles was here today.
Wait a minute. I forgot about that dude, man.
I don't care who's on the field
John,
at any time. If Myles Garrett's there,
John,
he's the best player on the field.
John, you know what? You want to know a guy who acts a little like Taylor and like is just a freak like that? It's that guy. I mean, you can line him up anywhere, and he's just an absolute freak, man. I mean, what a pass rusher, what a playmaker, what a situational effort guy too. I mean, my God Almighty. I mean, Nick Bosa, Michael Part, those guys, they're not near this guy. That guy's a special football player.
It's fun to hear people talk about him. Nick was talking about him after today's game. I told you about Jordan on the pregame show. Lane and Lane talked about him after the game, and he said, he got asked, he gets this question every week, was the running game a big part of the game plan? And Lane said, yes, unless you want to block effing Myles Garrett all day. Nobody wants to do that. So, they ran it quite a bit with Saquon, wasn't as effective as usual, which is a little bit disappointing because Cleveland came in as one of the worst tackling teams in football. You thought maybe they could have Xander be giving away a jersey. Maybe it could be a big game from that perspective. But they did a good job trying to take him away. And they pretty much did it from an effectiveness standpoint. And Jalen, after the slow start, kind of perked it up. If you just look at the box score, that's why you can't just look at the box score. They had 372 offensive yards, total yards, 6 yards per play. Sounds pretty good. It wasn't good.
Oh, I actually thought the Browns had a good day today, John, with the ineptness of the offense. I think if you're Jim Schwartz, you walk off there, you gave up only 20 points to that high-powered, talented offensive team. I mean, if you're Jim Schwartz, you walk out of there going like this. We held that team to under 400 yards. Our offense kind of consistently put us in a bad way. I don't think Cleveland had a bad day at all on defense. There were about 3 or 4 explosion plays against them, blown coverages and what have you. Other than that, I think they're correctable just by getting some of their talent back because they're hurt on every level there in Cleveland.
Yeah, they are tremendously banged up. I mentioned, down to their third and fourth running backs, their third center. So many guys didn't even play coming into the game. They were a playoff team last year. They're probably a playoff team this year if they're healthy and they had decent quarterback play. They're neither, which has been the issue. But Rodney McLeod had a big day. That I think everybody was kind of happy about that because everybody loves Rodney here.
Yeah, great dude.
Tremendous dude. And the way they handled the end of the half, wow, I think tilted this game. I think the game's over if Jake Elliott makes the field, even if he misses the field goal. Probably the game's not going to be a game, and that really, really shifted momentum. And that was just, boy, that was bad the way they handled it. First of all, Saquon went out of bounds a yard before the first down. He should have dipped the shoulder, and they would have took the timeout.
Missed the block too on the sack.
Yeah. Then the next play's the sack. Did he miss it? I didn't see him miss the block.
Yeah, he missed it. He missed the sack.
Yeah. But that's a bad sack in that situation. Then you put Jake to where he's got to bang it from 57, and obviously it's going to come out lower. And you got Myles block that kick. He's not only a defender; he's out there blocking field goals.
And he jumped over the offensive lineman. He jumped over him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a history of doing that because he is such an athletic freak. And Rodney picks it up and goes the other way, and that completely shifted the trajectory of the game. And that was just bad the way the Eagles handled that. And with 3 timeouts, and by the way, I'm not talking about the coaches because everybody wants to jump on the coach. I'm talking about the player going out of bounds instead of getting the first down. Yeah. Understanding you got 3, you can burn one, no problem.
Lack of execution, still got 2 more. For sure. Lack of execution.
Yeah. And then you don't bring up where you're trying to go for it, and I do believe that was the mistake from the coaching staff. They burned a timeout before they ran the 3rd and 1, which is like, what, nobody's on the same page. There's no, it was just an ugly sequence from that
John,
perspective.
did they look prepared to you? Like, and I'm not talking about coaching and play. Does it look like coaching, players, and everyone were on the same page in this game? And I'm not going to go the coaches. Did it just look like?
Well, the defense did. But, and Nick brought this up because he doesn't want the slow starts to get into people's heads. And he said, don't say we didn't fast start. He said, the offense had a slow start, not the defense. And I'm like, well, he's right, but I don't know what that means against this particular team. Like they come in with 6 sacks and they ended with, I think, 5 more. I think Cooper helped a lot. I'm like, what took that so long? Cooper DeJean getting on the field. So finally they pulled the trigger on that.
Josh Sweat played well. Played well.
But I don't know what it means.
Yeah, no.
It's like, yeah.
John, how about Cooper DeJean? I thought he was my silver lining. I thought he played great today.
He was great.
Yeah.
It was great. Now, we should have had that sack when Cleveland was back. I don't know
what he wrap up in the NFL, Cooper.
Yeah, he thought he was back at Iowa, and you could just stick his shoulder in, somebody's going to fall down.
Yeah, those different league. Hey, you're not playing Northwestern, John.
Yeah. He had him dead to rights, and who knows if he falls backward the wrong way, maybe the football ends up in the end zone. But he could have had a potential safety, but you certainly would have had him backed up even further. Yeah, he should have wrapped up. But overall, you could see, and I've been talking about that since the Minnesota preseason game. He showed that he could blitz. Because I remember, Xander, you were disappointed in his coverage, and that's fine. He's going to have issues there occasionally, like all young players. But, yeah, I mean, he can blitz up, and Vic likes to do that. And especially in the running game, he likes to run blitz more than pass blitz from the slot. And he can do that with Cooper. And he obviously didn't feel comfortable doing it as much with Avante.
John, the injury to Mulata, Slay, Goddard hamstring himself too. I mean, I know they're not going to tell you right away after a ball game. They want to get evaluated, and then they probably won't even tell you until game day of next week. But, boy, you know what, John? We're looking at another hamstring. First it's AJ, now it's this. I mean, usually hamstrings are conditioning injuries, and there seems to be a rash of them.
I'm worried about Mulata more than the other guy. I saw Slay with his wife, and he was talking to Mike Quick. He seems fine. And his was a knee injury. He seems fine. Now, he was limping a little bit, but he wasn't going for x-rays or anything of that nature. Mulata couldn't put any weight on it. Carted off to the locker room, was nowhere to be seen. That one I'm far more concerned about. That might be a torn hamstring. Not a doctor, but if
that's
it's a
4
torn
months.
arm, yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, that's 4 months. If it's torn, John, versus strained, that's 4 months.
We're talking about a potentially season ender if it's torn. No?
Yeah, and he couldn't put any weight on it. Yeah, and that's not confirmed. I don't want anybody to say that. I'm just speculating.
Yep.
Yeah, just based on the fact that you can't put any weight on it.
Yeah. And Dallas, I don't know with Dallas. I didn't see it. I did notice on the first 3 and out of the game, I mentioned to the guy sitting next to me in the press box, I'm like, boy, he didn't run that route with any sense of urgency. And turns out there's a reason why, because he couldn't run. So, with Dallas, it's probably more of an AJ hamstring. And, you're probably talking week to week, but yeah, it's probably going to miss some time, I would think.
Hey, John, did Nick Sirianni really say this? Were these his quotes here? John Clark just texted me this. Nick Sirianni says, when the fans are cheering, it helps the team. We hear them. When they boo, we necessarily don't like it, and it's counterproductive, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, he said that. Yeah. Well,
why address that, John?
But he was asked the question. He was asked the question every which way. It was like that question, I believe, was the fans were loud for you at the end when they caused the 2 false starts. You gave them credit, but they were also loud in a negative way. That was the question, and that's how he answered it. You'll also see the Fox clip or whoever. I think it was Fox, but put it out there first of him going back and forth with some fans. Look, I get it. I get why he's frustrated. They tried to start a fire Nick chant in the second quarter. Didn't really catch on, but you could hear it a little bit. I don't know if it came across elsewhere.
No, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. There was a lot of booing, starting with the first 3 and out.
Heard that.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want your home crowd to boo you, but it is Philadelphia, so you should expect it. And my advice would be to ignore it, but that's not Nick's way. So I respect him for answering the question a little bit, but he gets himself in more trouble by doing things the way he gets himself in unneeded trouble by doing some of the stuff he does.
John, what's your opinion on what he did at the end of the game with the fans, putting his finger to the ear?
That's stupid. Just ignore it. Go talk trash about him to the players.
John, on to New York.
The game.
On to New York, like Bill used to do. Give him nothing.
Exactly. Look, the same people who cheer so rabidly for this team are the ones who, want to say negative things. Not everybody, but we know there's a vocal minority that is going to say everything sucks, the coach sucks, the quarterback sucks, everything sucks. You can't give him air, and he gives them air.
He's becoming the villain on purpose. You got nothing else to lose. Jarrell Ray checks in. I'd like your guys' opinion on this super chat. I appreciate Sirianni becoming the villain. What does he have to lose? Everyone wants him out anyway.
Well, he does. That's a good super chat because I'm going to write. I'm going to write about that. I think Nick is getting to the point of, well, if I'm getting fired anyway, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it.
Hey, I'm going to go out being the bad guy like he's like Scarface.
He might be listening. I don't know. He might be listening to you during the week. He's the bad guy now.
He's the bad guy now, John.
I don't know if he's doing that purposefully, but I think it's like, all right, I don't care about acquiescing these people. I think he's getting to that point. We're like, you can't win anyway, so why try? And do it the way you want. And at least if you lose your job doing things the way you want, at least you feel better about yourself than if you're trying to meet the approval of people who aren't going to give you their approval anyway. I think he's getting to that point.
Yeah, and I do think that was a good super, and that you wonder if it's like, hey, quit criticizing everybody else on the team, the coordinators, the quarterback. Put the onus on me. It's already on him in a large part of it. So interesting line of thinking there. But I did think it was stupid to put your hand to the ear. Just immature, John. It's immature in my opinion.
Yeah, and when you combine Arizona, Indianapolis, Kansas City, putting that, and like John said, you got people around Philadelphia, half the fan base is screaming for this guy's job on a weekly basis. I'm not thinking that's where you want to go. You know what I mean? I mean, especially with a performance like that. You know, it's funny, John. Xander said this to me, and I was transparent with everybody. How do you evaluate a game like that? I mean,
well, yeah, I said that at the start. I don't know how to evaluate.
Yeah,
this
no.
game.
You did the same thing we did. We were like,
Yeah.
how do you evaluate coming out of the gates like that against that team, and you win by 4 versus Cleveland, who has nothing to offer in that game offensively? They had nothing but a few brief little moments in that game, and you're like this, okay. And then you add that, John, if you look on social media right now, they're not talking about the fact that the Eagles are now 3-2 and they're kind of in the group with everyone else. They're talking about Nick Sirianni acting like a clown at Lincoln Financial.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he's his own worst enemy when it comes to that. Plus, you'll hear the national media jump on that because he has done it in the past. It is immature. It doesn't look good. And it doesn't. I'm not gonna. It doesn't look good. It's dumb. It's dumb to even engage in that stuff, as you said. Not that there's only one way to do things, because there's many ways to do things. But I don't know if the proper way to do anything is to make things harder for yourself. That's what he does.
He sure does.
So maybe he is making himself the villain, but that doesn't mean it's the best route. Johnny Mac, final takeaways on this game, brother. Like we said, tough one to evaluate, but just your final thoughts on this game as we prepare for Birds 365 in the morning.
Ugly game. I feared this might happen because I didn't see a lot of ways Cleveland could win this game. And the one way was turnovers, and they got a turnover of sorts. Remember, the offense didn't score a touchdown, the Cleveland offense. Their only touchdown was the blocked field goal and Rodney McLeod. So they were as bad as advertised. So the part of the team that played really well, you're like, well, what does that really mean if you look at the way they played certain other games against better competition? And even though you're in this little stretch, I mean, like the New York Giants, the way they played the past couple weeks, they look like they look like the greatest show on turf compared to this Cleveland team. That's how bad they have been offensively. So I don't know what to take out of it defensively, other than it's nice to get Cooper out there. Nakobe Dean continues to be really, really bad in space. And Bryce Hupp got a half a sack they might take away from him after they review the film. So we're all celebrating Bryce Hupp, and they might take it away. Because for me, it should have been Cooper's alone, but evidently they gave a half sack to Bryce Hupp, and they might turn that. But just keep that in the back of your mind.
Hey, Andrew, you know how John McMullen tells you that you've been Silio-ized? I don't know. John sure sounds a little like Silio.
The whole world will be Silio-ized by the end.
Hey, take that sack away from Bryce. He don't deserve it. He belongs on a milk carton.
I didn't say he didn't deserve it. I said I know how this league works, and they review the film. Yeah, and they'll take sacks away from people and assign them to the right people. So it's happened in the past.
Because it's incentives, John. There's incentives in there that these guys haven't built in their contracts. If you have a certain amount of big power plays on defense, you get credit for that. And there's bonuses that you make. So, yes, they are important.
Yeah, well, that's a league-wide problem because they pay people on sacks, and that's why people are obsessed with them. And they're not as important. It's one of the worst statistics in sports. Chris Long talks about this all the time and Chris is a pass rusher. He's like, well, half of the time you're getting sacks because the D tackles, they run the quarterback right into you. And you got to look at each one of them contextually and what matters and who really was responsible for a particular sack. But again, people look at the box score, and if you look at the box score, you'll say, oh, the Eagles played pretty well offensively. But did they? I don't know. At least they didn't turn it over. That's a positive.
Yeah,
and they won.
And they won, right. Johnny Mac, great stuff, man. Appreciate you checking in. Get home safely from
Silly-o-wise, John. Silly-o-wise.
Yeah, that to me, no offense, Dan, that to me is the hot take, and I don't do that. So I'm never going to be silly-o-wise.
Johnny Mac, good stuff.
Man. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. See you, Johnny Mac. Good stuff from Johnny Mac on the post-game show there. Sills, just one more thought from you before I let you go, brother. Your final thoughts on this one. Like we said, it's a tough one.
I think the three of us had the right thing. We went like this and went down like a bad milkshake.
Yeah.
It was like you were like this. Man, I like strawberry milkshakes, but at the end of the day, I don't know. The milk seemed a little flat. I still ate it, still, liked it. But, I didn't come out of that thing thinking, wow, my narrative has been changed in any way, offensively or defensively. Now, I did like what I saw with Jalen, believe it or not. I thought Jalen was effective in the game. How about this, Andrew? Would you not agree that that's probably the best game that Jalen Hurts has played in the last 12 games?
I'd have to look if 12 gets you back to the – man, 12 gets you back toward
I didn't think he played
5
quarters of good ball against Buffalo. I thought he was great in the fourth and
in the end,
the overtime. Against Buffalo.
Yeah, I don't want to go there because he played the Browns, I guess. But no, look, I thought he played a good game. I really did. I had no problem. I said that at halftime, even before he had a much better second half than first half. We had people ripping in the halftime, and I'm like, oh, I kind of see it differently. I've been hard on the team, but I don't really see it as like that. So
before I leave, I want to make this very clear. I just ordered 4 body bags for Monday's National Football Show.
Here we go.
For Nick Sirianni.
The real Sills, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the first hour 40. The real Sills is now coming out.
Yeah. Okay. Come 2 to 6 Eastern on Monday. I have just ordered 4 body bags. Okay. One of them is for Nick.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll explain with Angelo at 4:30 on Monday.
Are you not giving me all 4? You're only giving me 1?
Yeah, no. I'm only giving you 1.
All right. Well, 2 to 6.
We may have to double bag a guy.
Sills, I got a feeling 2 to 6 is going to be a big one tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
2 to 6 in the National Football Show. Host Dan Cilio of that National Football Show. Host here on the JAKIB pre- and post-game show. A 1987 national champion and the 56th player taken in the 1988 NFL Draft. Dan Cilio, you are a legend. And we love having you here on JAKIB Sports. Thanks for doing it today, brother. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. All right, brother?
All right, guys. I appreciate everybody coming into the chats and all the super chats. Thank you guys so much, man. I'll see you Monday, 2 to 6, National Football Show right here on JAKIB. Thanks, Xander.
See you, Big Sills. Great stuff from Dan Cilio. Guys, everybody, this is the rundown for the rest of the show. First, I have a favor to ask of the people in the chat. Now, my family is listening to the show, and we have a big thing happening in our family. And the favor I'm asking of you doesn't cost you time. Well, maybe a couple seconds. Doesn't cost you money. All it will do is will make me happy. So if you could do this for me, I would appreciate it very much. In the chat box, comment in, congrats, JFK. Like the president, JFK. My brother's initials are JFK. Joseph is my brother's name. JFK. And him and his beautiful wife, Julia, have announced they are having their first baby coming soon. So they announced that to our family today. And we have a big family dinner. So I don't have a full night tonight to do a post-game show. But if you guys could please drop a congrats, JFK, in the chat. That would mean a lot to me. Thank you guys for doing that. He is watching the show right now, so he will see that, and hopefully his beautiful wife, Julia, is watching as well. So big congrats to you, Joseph. Love you, brother. Can't wait to – so we have a dinner after the show tonight, which is why I won't have as much time on the post-game show. Let me take a break, and I got 20 minutes. So 20 minutes, we're going to bang out some interviews for my people, Akbar, Bob Brown, if you want to join. Anybody that wants to join, we got to keep it short, concise, and to the point today. I'll get through as many as I can, and then I got to bounce for a family dinner for my brother, JFK. Congrats, JFK. Aren't those initials fresh, everybody? Joseph Frank. Great name. So big congrats to him. Good shout out to him. And thank you all for doing that in the chat. I appreciate each and every one of you. Jarrell, I'm not sure if you just checked back in, brother. Johnny Mack, loved your latest super chat on the Nick Sirianni villain. So great stuff from you. Let's get to our commercial break. Coming up next, the post game show with Xander Kraus and JAKIB Nation. Take it home. Appreciate you all. Stay tuned. Back in 3 minutes.